So that has been huge for us. And meanwhile, you just saw it on your screen, a win versus the Bears Sunday, and the NFC will officially go through the Packers and Lambeau Field, a destination which traditionally favors the MVP frontrunner, Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to just look back to the Sunday's game against the Titans as an extreme example as to why Lambeau Field is such a huge advantage. All right, Lewis, you are back with us here, and I want to start with you. What quarterback do you think is most likely to be able to beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at Lambeau Field?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Russell Wilson for me because of the fact that he's one of those guys who, you know, when you're talking about going up to Lambeau Field, and let's just assume that it's going to be bad weather. It's going to be cold. It's going to be in the 20s, maybe even in the teens, and possibly it's going to be a slick field, you know, whether it be sleet, snow, what have you. Russell's one of those ad-libbers, one of those second reaction throwers, off-schedule type of playmakers that could just give a defense fits, and he can match Green Bay's firepower offensively, namely Aaron Rodgers, and that combination run-passing attack, I believe, point for point, as long as he's able to get the kind of protection that he needs and that his wide receiver core is healthy and that they are at full strength going into that football game. I think he has the kind of ability and he has the kind of mental wherewithal and resilience to be able to withstand what is really just ridiculously tough conditions in order to, you know, when you're talking sustaining your mental focus and sustaining your ability to physically perform for 3.5 hours in that kind of environment. It is a tough situation. And that's not to say that guys like Drew Brees and or Tom Brady couldn't do the same. But I think Russell is uniquely qualified in order to handle this kind of thing. I think this football team, because of the fact that it is a traditionally run-centric football team that can really pound the football and take some air out of the football and keep it away from a guy like Aaron Rodgers, also gives them an advantage as far as going up there and performing in those kind of conditions. And then lastly, the defense for Seattle is starting to improve. I believe they are very strong down the middle. Bobby Wagner is a surefire Hall of Famer when he retires at linebacker. I think Jamal Adams has really found his niche within this defense and is a guy who was an absolute game wrecker up around the line of scrimmage and can make things very difficult for a guy like Aaron Rodgers with his pass rushing ability and his ability to be a force against the run. And we know that the Packers have a good run offense as well. So I think Seattle just overall would give them a tough matchup up there. I think, look, the Saints can do it as well because of their defense and because of the fact that they have Alvin Kamara. The Bucs can do it just as well because Tom Brady is the greatest winner that this league has ever seen. But I really like Seattle's chances if they have to go in there and give Green Bay a run for their money.
Yeah, I think that a couple weeks ago we were talking about Lambeau like it was going to be really hard to go in there and win. And I don't think it's going to be easy to go in there and win. But the way that you made that argument, I think you're right. Like you named a few teams that I think you could see go in there and win. I don't think it's out of the question. Even Drew Brees might be the one who at his age and the way his arm strength seems to be deteriorating might be the guy who would be most concerned about. But you named it. That offensive line and Alvin Kamara. And that defense, it gives you enough to go in there and win. But the team and the quarterback, I guess, in this situation that I have the most faith in going into Lambeau is Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not sure how much faith I have in the Bucs getting to that game, but if they get to that game, Tom Brady is one of the best, if not the best, cold weather quarterbacks we ever had. And he has those really talented receivers. I don't think he's going to have any problem moving the ball or scoring points. And they played them. Granted, it was in Tampa Bay. They played them earlier this season, and the Bucs won 38-10. Like that, to me, that doesn't seem like a fluke. That seems like a team that controlled Aaron Rodgers, and that defense found a way to play well against Aaron Rodgers. And I think you and I agree that going up to Lambeau is difficult, but it's going to be easier with no fans. The weather conditions are a problem, but they got heated benches. They got chicken broth on the sideline. They got big coats. They got gloves and long sleeve thermal shirts. Like they're going to be all right as long as they're not out there thinking about, damn, I'm so cold. Like, to me, that's the biggest challenge. The field is heated. The biggest challenge is to be able to focus on your job and not focus on how you can't feel your fingertips necessarily. And I hope, even though they have some young guys on defense, that the Bucs are able to do that. And most of those teams that we talk about, the Saints, they're a mentally tough team. Even though they play in the dome, they bounce back from so many painful postseason losses that they are not a mentally weak team. And the same is true for the Seahawks up there. So all those teams probably could go in there and win. But if the question is about a quarterback in cold weather, Tom Brady's my pick.
Yeah, all of these teams have some championship DNA within them, whether it's as a team overall, like Seattle, or in Tampa Bay's case with Tom Brady, which is right now he's trying to inject that championship DNA into the rest of this roster. The only thing I will say though is this: as far as you mentioned in the fact that it would be easy without the fans, I would argue, quite honestly, Dom, that it's harder now without the fans because we were up in Green Bay early in the season. We went to see them, Monday night against the Atlanta Falcons. I'll tell you this. When it's cold like that up there in Green Bay, and the lighting and such in that stadium, when there's no one in it, it really is one of those situations where it's like eerily quiet. It's dark. The surrounding area around Green Bay, around Lambeau Field, is kind of dark and very secluded. I mean, it's in that small town. And for a football team, look, if you don't come out the gates humming as a visiting team, and it's cold, and it's snowing, and it's dark, and you just see in that bowl, it's kind of dark in the upper areas of that stadium, and you're freezing your rear end off, and Aaron Rodgers is lighting you up. If you don't come out the gates humming, many times people are sitting there going, "Hey man, how much time is left on this clock? How quick can we get back into that locker room, on this bus, and back to the Green Bay airport or Appleton or wherever you fly out of, and get me out of here?" Because that cold up there, that cold up there is a different kind of cold, man. It's the kind of cold that makes you want to say, look, I know that as a broadcaster, I was thinking, how quickly can we get back to the truck? I don't even want to sit out here on this football field. So, if you're in there in an empty stadium and you can hear everything, and you come out there and Aaron Rodgers starts lighting you up, it's a different kind of thing going up there. And Aaron talked about it. He said, look, it's really just a race to see who can last the longest. Which team can withstand it the longest? And they're used to it. And if you're not used to it, that's a different animal up there, man. It's a different. That's why,
you're right.
You just hope the Green Bay gets knocked out before you have to go up there.
Yeah, I've been there before, not in the playoffs, but a couple times, never without fans. But you're right. We landed and stayed in Appleton, and that drive is a real sad drive to the stadium, and it doesn't feel good when Aaron Rodgers is cooking you like he did to me a couple times in there. So I'm with you. I understand all that. But the players that are headed into that stadium now on those teams, they are better than me. And I might venture to even say they might be a little bit younger and tougher and better than you.